All right, well, we'll make this real brief. I think I originally had 10. We'll try and get it under 5. And that kind of works out because there was something that really resonated for me this morning. So I'm going to pivot a little bit from the deck that I was planning to share with you all, but I'll tell you briefly about HabiTerre, and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking about here. So for us at HabiTerre, we are a deep science and technology company dedicated to building the digital infrastructure for a sustainable future for ag. So we're thinking about things like environmental markets, different opportunities for sustainability claims, and ultimately rewarding farmers for their stewardship. Now, the thing that really resonated for me this morning was when we talked about transition planning on the farm. We're always talking about the future of farming, talking about where that goes, but the thing that really hit me, and the reason I'm going to talk a little bit about that instead of getting deep into our technology, is this is a family farm. So like Andrew said, it's back in Lisbon, North Dakota, about 60 miles away from here. Grew up there. We affectionately refer to it as Poverty Flats. Thankfully not fully into poverty yet, but we're still farming. And those guys up in the top right, that's my dad, my grandpa, and my uncle Raleigh. Now, Grandpa here, he wasn't thinking about climate change. Dad and Raleigh weren't thinking about climate change. They were thinking about managing that farm through the 80s when things got really dry, improving our soil health, improving the operations of the farm, getting more efficient, and making sure they could pass that on to future generations. So Grandpa here passed away about 2 years ago. And I'll try to not get too heavy with you, but I promise it's worth it. So Grandpa passed away about 2 years ago, and we learned firsthand how difficult it was to transition some aspects of the farm, especially logistically. But now, just this past January, my dad actually passed away and left the farm to my little brother there, Ryan. So Ryan is 30 years old, just put in his first ever crop, first ever time running the planter, first ever time running the drill, and you can imagine how wide-eyed he was in trying to do this. So I am on the phone with Ryan probably an hour a day just trying to help him keep sane, and I get back out there and help out where I can. But I tell you all that to tell you, all these guys, when I went into climate and sustainability work in AgTech, they all thought I was nuts. They still think I'm nuts. Dad's up there thinking I'm crazy. But when I'm talking to Ryan, he's thinking about that next generation. And he knows that there is no future for that farm without acknowledging where things are going with the climate, how he's going to market his crops in a sustainable fashion, and how we're going to talk about the future of farming. So I say all that to say I'm not going to get into the market aspects. If anybody wants to nerd out with me on what's driving the climate market in ag, how we're transacting those things, all that, grab me afterwards. I'll be around all day. But what we do at HabiTerre, we're looking at quantifying the full above ground and below ground production system in agriculture. So we're looking at production efficiencies, emissions like nitrous oxide, methane, just really how are we using our resources to most efficiently produce a crop. Now, a lot of this market has been around soil carbon, and I think that's really a myopic focus that is not resonating with farmers. Because for farmers, yeah, soil carbon, great, I know I need to increase it, but I only care about that in as much as it helps me be more profitable and sustainable on my farm in terms of actually continuing to farm and pass that on to future generations. So for us at HabiTerre, we're looking at the entire system and thinking about that in the context of how farmers are thinking about their productivity. So the future of these marketplaces is going to depend on good quality data that doesn't depend on a lot of farmer reported data. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, optimizing for being able to quantify these entire systems without making the farmer sit down at the computer, because that's another thing that my brother likes to remind me of. He's not going to sit down at the computer and tell me what he's doing. He just wants help making that farm more profitable and helping him understand how to make it so. So with that, I'm not going to go deep in the technology. Again, please do grab me afterwards if you want to go deep on that stuff, because that's the fun stuff, but we're not going to do it in 2 minutes. So I will close that out, but if any of you want to reach me, nick.reinke@habiterre.com, and again, around the rest of the day. Thank you.